So the 7 hidden secrets within the word secrets. The first one is to do with, it's succinct. Succinct is the title of this first secret. Now, in the context of secrets, well, in the context of anything, sometimes we talk about, this is a secret, but actually, the first secret is that there is something within whatever we label as a secret, which is very, very succinct. And if you are able to engage with what is it that you can express clearly in few words, which is what succinct is, it gives you clarity in your communication. It gives you an innate ability to be able to literally, sift the wheat from the chaff. It gives you that laser beam focus. So when I worked with it, I used it to answer the question. So, is there something that I do, which is like my secret sauce equivalent? And I was in that inquiry. And really what I got was, when I engaged with it. So the moment you ask, it's all about asking the right questions to get the answers that you are seeking. So when I asked this question, so what is my secret sauce that enables me to do what I do? And what I got when I did that examination was my secret sauce is really allowing. And I allow over an extended period of time. So if I wanted to, I realized that, okay, secrets is one of the pearls of wisdom. Each pearl is something that if you focused on just on that, will give you a world that works for everyone. And I'm now going into, okay, so what is it that is, how is my secret sauce playing out here, which is allowing? I literally allow my intuition to distill from everything that I have worked with throughout my life, where I'm implementing one or several of these 7 secrets. And I don't sit there analyzing what I'm receiving. I literally allow myself to receive it fully, without questioning it. Now, the fact that I allow myself to receive it fully, it automatically triggers my ability to allow myself to trust the process. And in trusting the process, I allow myself to trust myself. But I could have written a whole book on, my secret sauce. But actually, when I said, oh, I'm going to seek the answer to this using the first secret, which is succinct, I did not get a book. What I got was something very succinct, a very specific word, which is allowing. I then started seeing that what was that turning point in my life where I moved from this over-analytical, highly evolved left brain person to one who operates with the same level of comfort with the right and the left brain. And the turning point really was when I started implementing what I now call as the art of allowing. it is art. Being an artist myself, I know when I am expressing my art, I don't necessarily know what's the next expression going to be. I simply allow myself to partner with my canvas. Sometimes I don't even know necessarily what is it that I'm painting, and at some point it all comes together. It's great fun, allowing myself to choose the crystals that I'm going to work with, the paint. I used to have that painter's tray, which I never use anymore. The paint goes straight on the canvas. My logical left brain would be freaking out at this if I wasn't in the space of allowing. It's like, my God, this massive canvas has got these blobs of paint on it. And there's no paintbrush. There's some knives and forks and some bunch of crystals. But really, I must say this. So when you start working with this, it's great. Just examine what's my secret sauce. What's just uniquely distinctive about me? It's wonderful to just do a deep dive and look at those times where it's like, where others were not able to address a particular point and you were. And it was just smooth sailing. Joni introduced me to this whole concept of hot knife through butter, where it felt like hot knife through butter. And then you go, and it gives you an access point. With this work that I do with you every week and have been now for, it'll be nearly 2 years, Catherine, in April that we've been doing it. I show up, Catherine and I have a particular process that we do before everybody comes online. And then, I simply allow. I do the prep beforehand, the night before, but I simply allow. And that emerged, that understanding has made me an even better artist with this art of allowing. The second secret that is the secret underpinning the Pearl of Wisdom secrets is enlightening. And remember, when I talk about these 7 ways or 7 secrets, if you do them in sequence like this, you will actually see the power of each one building on the one that you have already worked with. So by me already distilling, allowing, when I looked at the secrets in my unique secret sauce, I come to enlightening, and I started looking at everywhere that I felt that experience, that enlightening experience, which is basically like I developed a greater understanding about a particular subject or a situation. I was able to put the 2 things together and notice that allowing was truly the bedrock, which resulted in this enlightening experience. Some of you know, 2012 was a year where I spent large chunks of time in silence. And each silence, I call it silence wisdom. each silence was focused on a very specific topic. And then all I did was I just was silent, engaging with that topic and allowing myself to write whatever it is, like an automatic writing experience, whatever it is that wanted to come through at that time. I wouldn't even engage with reading what I had written. Be it 3 days of silence, 2 weeks of silence, whatever. I wouldn't even read it. Because really what I was mastering there was the art of allowing. I also knew that if I started reading it in the middle of my period of silence, I would get so fascinated by what I had written that the flow of being in a state of allowing would interrupt. And literally, I mean, for me to master the art of allowing for myself, which came out as a result of the first secret, succinct, I was able to master it in my third stretch of silence, which was a 2 weeks silence. Before that, I'd done 2 other short ones, 3 days, 4 days, 15 days, and I really knew how to work with that. I remember where the very specific experience I had. I was in this 2-week silence period. I was by myself, and it was this amazing monastery. And it was the retreat section of that monastery, spread out over 93 acres in Australia. And I was there by myself. And I remember being in the temple part of the monastery. I must have gone there somewhere in the middle of the day, and I was in a deep state of meditation. And I come out. This particular retreat has got about 120 little small little huts or cabin-like things where you can stay, and I was staying in one of those. So I come out of the temple. It's pitch dark. Since I'm the only one, I mean, clearly the lights and all, I have to switch them on. So I come out, I have my phone, it had this flashlight, I turn it on, go and switch on the light. And just as I get out, it's pitch dark. It was full moon actually, but there was no moon. The sky was completely clouded up. And I had completely lost which direction am I going. They had this humongous pagoda. So I knew where the pagoda was. So I walked towards the pagoda, and I'm sitting underneath of this on a platform by the pagoda. And just all I could do was, if I was not in the state of allowing, it could have been quite panicky, and I might have just gone back into the temple to sleep, and that was not the most sensible thing to do. It was important for me to get back to my room, and I just sat under the pagoda and made up a story that there was something magical that I was about to experience. So I allowed for that magic to unfold, and this particular retreat center was surrounded by the bush, which is what they call the forests in Australia. It's quite dry and quite arid, and it's full of lots of interesting animals. So I could hear sounds, and all of that was there. And I just sat under the pagoda. Time went by. I don't know how much time went by. And at this point, I started following my inner guidance, which was do not close your eyes, just stay there, blink, but don't close your eyes. And I stayed there. The air was quite strong. I felt very blessed. And it was the allowing that kept me in my center. And sure enough, the clouds parted, the full moon came out. It was literally as if I was blessed with this pearlesque white light, as if the moon was shining just on the pagoda and me being underneath it. And I could hear the rumbling of thunder. So it was the clouds were going to disappear. And I saw where I needed to walk to. And it was a good 5-7 minute walk. The moon was out for those 7 minutes. And when I got into my room, it started raining and there was thunder. So clearly the clouds would have covered the moon again. And in that moment, I made such a deep connection to all of the elements that come together that we each have within us as well. You know, fire, which comes from my passion, water, which kept me in my flow, air, which was always decluttering and blowing away the debris, and earth that kept me grounded at all times. There were lots of fireflies, as there are in this part of the world during that time that I was doing the retreat for myself. It was a combination of acting on the succinct secret, which is allowing, and simply being in this state of allowing really created an opening that enabled deeper and deeper enlightenment to occur. And I saw for myself how allowing really opens the doorway to so much that I would otherwise have shut off. I mean, the several bodies of work came out in those 15 days that I was there, including being truly, madly, deeply in love with myself. The whole body of work on self-love and the phenomenal leverage that it provides you. The body of work on gratitude and peace, where we had a little glimmer of that during last week's Pearl of Wisdom, emerged from that retreat. This whole understanding that you heard me share about life and death as two states, and the only purpose of life being to come alive, emerged from there, from those 2 weeks. And literally this experience happened on the first night that I was there. If I had not been in a state of allowing, I would have been in panic. There was no signal of any sort that would work on the phones there where I was. So it could have been some serious panic there. But allowing, because that was the succinct secret discovery, opened the doorway for me to remain in my center. And I started experiencing the enlightening experience. Find what is yours. And don't rush into enlightening until you have uncovered succinctly that which expresses in a few words what is your unique secret. And remember, don't assume anything. You know, I would in the past, my logical brain would have gone into, these are the things that I do really well. This is what I'm known for. I wasn't, allowing, what is that, you know? That wouldn't have come if I only based it on my logical mind distilling everything that I'd ever done. Trust, the first secret of succinct. When you take that as an intention, that succinctly, I am going to discover what it is that is my secret sauce. And then simply be with it, you will get it. And then you go into the enlightening experience. And this is where you can, and I did do my lay of the land, looked at all those different times where I felt that enlightening experience and discovered how allowing was at the core of it. I remember during that particular retreat, I did that retreat very soon after my mother had crossed over, and she was a PhD in Hindi literature. Her Hindi was absolutely phenomenal, the words she used, and she was very spiritual. And I remember having several stretches of time during those 15 days, almost every day, I would, for at least an hour or so, I would be writing, and I would be writing in Hindi. I actually learned about what it takes to be an observer and live your life as an observer. Being an observer be at the foundation of making you come alive. All of that body of work was written in Hindi. Yes, I have learned Hindi and I can speak it, I can understand it. But I mean, I did all that in school, you know. Allowing basically took the logic out of it, and that enabled this amazing body of work to come through. The whole understanding we've done in Beyond Meditation, I talk about the soul and the human form. And there was a whole body of work on the understanding of what the soul is and how it is distinct from the human form and how the two can come together in harmony. All of that is the body of work that is written in Hindi. And I feel grateful that I allowed myself to do this. And my premise is, if I can do it, so can you. I was so analytical, super analytical all the time. When I step into allowing, I don't analyze. I allow myself to receive, and I accept what I receive. And I work with it afterwards. The third secret within the word secrets is conqueror. You understanding what is your secret. Look, for me, you've heard me say this many times before. Your world is you. It begins with you, it ends with you, and it is you. The same experience the same thing playing out in front of two people can result in very different experiences. Why is that? Because we create our world. So when you work with the conqueror secret, hidden in a secret, you're able to utilize what you have been enlightened by. You're able to utilize what you have distilled succinctly and are able to express in a few words, which is your secret. You're able to utilize both of those to overcome any adversity. Any adversity. So when I wrote this down, conqueror, I had to really go into, well, who is a conqueror? To me, that had a bit of a negative connotation. And if you just take it very simply, one who overcomes adversity as opposed to conquest, you can have a bit more freedom with it. So then I really, for me, I like to ground everything in here and now reality, third dimension reality. And for me, it is also important to take your mind along. And your mind is always just simply focused on, what's going on, what's so. Your heart is very present in the now. Mind and thought together start spinning tales. To bring the mind along, if you give yourself a sufficient stretch of time to ground whatever it is that you're imagining or envisioning with factual, situations and examples, which is where the lay of the land approach and technology comes in. Your mind comes along with you. So it was like, okay, how have I, where have I, what have I done to utilize this art of allowing and my mastery of it and the enlightening experiences and revelations that I have experienced over time? How have I used it to overcome adversity? And that's how you start powering yourself up with the conqueror secret in the word secrets. And once you've anchored it in what you have already done, you can actually utilize it going forward. So this is a very mechanical, logical implementation is how I've used it. The important thing to remember is every word has an innate vibration. The innate vibration of conqueror is one who overcomes adversity in any situation. So you automatically become powered by that. So the fourth secret hidden in the secrets, the word secrets, is it's recyclable. Allowing is also regenerative. It's recyclable and regenerative. The recyclable part is really interesting. It is the recyclable abilities that often make something regenerative. If it is just a one-off, that you utilize and is done, you can't cycle it all over again. So this was a really exciting one for me, understanding that it is recyclable and therefore regenerative. So I became, when I was working with this for myself, I became very mechanical about it, literally using the process of recycling, collecting and processing materials that might otherwise have been thrown away as trash and turning them into new products. How did that show up? How did I work with that? I literally went into certain situations in my life which I thought I was over and done with. I didn't need to think about those again. I'm in a different phase in my life. The fact that I could think of that incident and it all came flooding back, that means it wasn't gone. It was there in my field. Okay, so there's a lot of trash in my field. Vibrational trash. So I took each incident and allowed myself to literally process the nuances that were present in that incident. And I did it with the intention as if I'm processing these materials that I had thrown away, which really weren't thrown away, but I'm actually going to turn them into new insights, new nuggets, or even new products. And I did that incident by incident. So but when I go into implementing these pearls of wisdom for myself, I decide that, okay, next 2 weeks, next month, I'm going to be working with this particular pearl of wisdom. And I take each of the 7 and I create a short segment of time. I very rarely have the time now to allocate a whole day to this stuff. I was very lucky that I had big chunks of time during the 9 years that I spent in Bali. But I don't have that time now. So I just allocate certain segments, be it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever that is. And I work with each one. I don't rush into it. And that's why when I say to you, do it in sequence, however yummy some of the later ways look, still do it in sequence. Because you will get even greater benefit from working with each of the 7 ways, or each of the 7 secrets in this case. So like when I took up recyclable, it took me several weeks actually, because I didn't just go deep into all of the incidents. I just took one at a time. And just simply using the definition of recyclable, processing materials that otherwise would have been thrown away and turning them into new products. I applied it and looked at all of the nuances in a very factual way that were there in that particular incident or in that particular experience. Sometimes some of these incidents were emotional. Other times they were, I had absolutely no reaction. I was quite indifferent to it, but it was a big happening in my life. And with each one, I learned a lot. And sometimes from that learning emerged a workshop or a retreat or a book. That then continued to support and ignite others to implement the insights that I had deciphered. And truly, that learning became regenerative because it was recycled and expressed in a different way that I could teach from and others could implement and learn from. So when I say so much that I share that I've learned from my own life, the same thing applies to each one of you. We truly are born masters. Just simply allow yourself to believe it. And in implementing these 7 secrets hidden in the word secret, you can just relax into it and distill and discover what is your secret sauce. And that is what you bring out into the world as you choose to live the purpose of your life, which is to come alive. I really feel, we are so blessed that somebody took the time to create the dictionary with all of these words, and how much access we have to all of this online as well. So when you're working through the different ways, the 7 ways of any of the pearls of wisdom, you do your work in understanding the dictionary meaning of the word that I'm using and implement it for yourself. knowing that when you choose to recycle, you regenerate automatically. And regenerative, rather than even sustainable, is one of the commandments that defines the foundation of this new world. So you're very, very thoroughly supported in this. The fifth secret, hidden in the word secrets, is enlivening. So I remember when we started, Catherine and I were just setting it up, and she was sharing from some of her previous experiences how these secrets, when people would hold their secrets, used to be quite disempowering for her. So there was an automatic negative connotation. But it's pretty cool to know that not only is it enlightening, it gives you the power to overcome adversity. And if you recycle it, it regenerates all that you wish to blossom with. And it is enlivening. It is enlivening. It makes something more entertaining, interesting, or appealing. The enlivening part, the way I worked with this one, is I just did the lay of the land. By this time, I've already recycled and created new insights from incidents that were bothersome or that were even debilitating in the past that I had just shut off. I'd already recycled them into new insights. So now I was ready to be enriched, entertained. And I started looking at lay of the land. What are the really interesting facets and aspects of my own life? What aspects of my personality I find truly appealing? What aspects of my personality others give me feedback on that are interesting and appealing? What approaches, what practices that I use for myself that are enriching to me, and when I share it with others, enriching to them. Now, the same line of questioning, when you apply that to the work you are doing, to your project, to any specific gift or talent that you discover within you that you haven't fully utilized yet, it is enlivening. Feels so refreshing. What aspects of this business or this project that you have been implementing is enriching? Sometimes even the most negative approaches, some of the most, what we may have called as devastating failures, can be enriching in their own way. This piece was really important as, 2020, 2021, all that occurred really helped me really get enlivened by implementing each of these secrets hidden in the word secret. And hence, I call it the amazing 2020. It was an enlivening experience, not simply for me, for so many people around the world. Acknowledging, honoring some of the catastrophic situations that did occur. Being able to be with them, not just notice and keep moving forward. All of that came together to make it an enlivening experience. So again, things like this, ground it. in factual reality, grounded in facts, by examining, using the lay of the land technology, I call it, where you look at what is it that was interesting or appealing. Begin with you, and you as a person, you as a personality, to answer these questions. And you will see, as you answer them, you experience this enlivening experience. I remember my ex-partner used to use this phrase. He was English, and his sense of humor was very Monty Python-esque, so a little bit weird. Perfectly understood by English people, but not necessarily by others. So many things he would do, which I didn't find funny at all, but they were truly funny. I mean, I find them funny now, but at that time, I didn't find them funny. I found them shocking. He used to say, "Oh, you have a humor you have a humor bypass. Never mind." So even that phrase I found so entertaining. And I remember my friends used to say, "My God, how could you allow him to give you a label like this?" I thought it was funny. That I did find funny. But literally, when you start engaging with enlivening incidents, I mean, this was great fun. I thought, okay, this is my time segment of enlivening. I'm going to go hunting for what has been enlivening in my life. It's even more interesting to find enlivening experiences in amidst adversity. And you automatically do, because by the time you get to this is the fifth one, you've already experienced you as a conqueror of overcoming adversity. You're not afraid of engaging even with that particular incident or situation. And the more you are focused on facts, the more engaged your mind is, and it is with you. It does not go ballistic. You're able to be in your center, and you can literally move forward. And this is my implementation for me of the art of allowing, and it will be something like that for you also. Don't cut short any of this work. Really doing a thorough examination of each of the enlivening incidents, experiences, relationships in your life just brings that lightness of being back, brings that humor back. As you get that you have a life that is so interesting and appealing. Because you're the one that usually pushes these kind of things away. And you feel that the grass is greener on the other side. And you've got it. When you acknowledge it, it's anchored. Your mind is with you. You can be present in the now, not constantly running away. And you stand tall, confident in trusting your own inner wisdom. Sixth one, now it starts to get fun. It starts to become quite interesting. The sixth secret that is hidden in the word tantalizing. It's a secret. That in itself is, sort of a tease with a promise of something that is, unobtainable. It gets people become really curious. So we can already feel it. So sometimes it annoys people when people won't share their secret, and they lead you into a particular path, but they don't share it. regardless, it's tantalizing. So tantalizing, just a dictionary definition of this is, you tantalize someone with a sight or a promise of something that is unobtainable. A little bit like the phrase, I think it's one of the dictionaries talked about, it's like, ambitious questions that have long tantalized the world's best thinkers. You are the world's best thinker. This particular secret is the way for you to start creating your repository of the good questions to ask. Before I would collect these things and, put on my wise hat on when I would be in a conference or a meeting or something and go and dip into this repository of good questions or interesting or intellectual questions. Now, for me, the good questions are for me to deepen my own enrichment of coming alive. And sometimes they're asked of another person. Other times I just ask it of myself as I'm examining something to learn from, to distill from. The way life pans out, the way, one of the rules of living our life on this planet is that if you have a question and if it is answered fully, great, that incident or that type of experience doesn't repeat. But if you have something that appears to be like a repetitive pattern, there are some unanswered questions that are there. So this particular secret of tantalizing really supports you in understanding what are those questions that are unanswered. For me, what I do is I go into, okay, what are the areas that I'm really curious about? And it is through the examination of this, the tantalizing secret, that I've created a new question that I use to run my life. And the question is, what if I didn't have to? Would I choose to do this? It was the tantalizing experience working with this particular secret that gave rise to the question that many of you who've done work with me use all the time, which is this mine to do? And now where I am at this stage in my life, what has emerged from this is, if I didn't have to, would I choose to do this? Now, then I can make a choice. If my intuitive response is, yeah, I would choose to do it, I would go do it. Or if my intuitive response is, no, I would not choose to do it. Okay, what would I choose to do instead? And then I can go ahead and work with that. Or I can say, okay, I realize that. However, I am still going to proceed with this. You are so fully informed yourself. Remember, in this realm where uncertainty is certain, take nothing for granted is a modus operandi. Finding your own ways of making choices that ground you in certainty really helps. And I'm just noticing my battery is very, very low. So just give me a moment and I'm just going to charge my computer. All aspects of life coexist. In only my logical state, it would be like, this is unacceptable. I should have got this sorted before I started. Well, doesn't help anything. Just takes away energy and power from where we are together. So work with this, really, truly play with the tantalizing. Tantalize yourself, tease yourself with a promise that something quite wonderful and unobtainable might emerge when you work with this. Catherine, when you were mentioning about the secret, how it used to bother you, well, you can just literally look at the bothering part and do a deeper dive into that understanding. What is it that really was bothersome in this whole secret when someone else is holding a secret? And then see what emerges, because it will enliven you, no question about that. And it will be tantalize yourself with what's going to emerge through that understanding. So now I do keep a good collection of questions to examine. And do that for yourself too. The seventh secret hidden in the word secrets is it's suspenseful. And for me, the way I look at it, suspenseful, is, that flutter in your heart, something's about to happen. You're very alert, you're very engaged. You're just with it, moment by moment. Excitement is building up. Fear is not there. Suspenseful is not fearful. There's that excitement that is there. It's like it's this arousing, excited expectation about what may happen. And that is available to you when you engage with the word secrets. So I quite like the idea of secrets. I'll start calling my books secrets of some kind, 7 secrets, 5 secrets, 4 secrets, rather than pillars even. With all of these qualities, just in the use of the word secrets. The way you work with the lay of the land as you're engaging with the 7th secret is you literally look at what were in those moments in your life. The more you educate yourself, remember you're here. You have been implementing the purpose of you having life up to this point in time because you're still alive. You're here. Whatever choice you make, you may call it good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever it is, you are living your life. Because life is simply a state. So you are totally and completely rich and enriched with a whole collection of experiences, learnings, insights. You truly are your best guru, your best teacher. If you just choose to take each piece at a time and work through and distill and decipher for yourself, staying in this suspenseful secret, experiencing this arousal of excited expectation of what may happen, and examining, my life, key milestones in my life, was thrilling and enthralling. It literally transforms the vibrancy of your presence. Working with this particular secret is what just literally removed compromise. I don't need to compromise. I don't have to. I just wouldn't choose to. I can see what there is, and I can, take all the circumstances that I may be present to and make my choices from there. And the choice does not have to be one of compromise. in this circumstance, yes, we had those crazy lockdowns and all of that. I could be there feeling resentful about it, being locked up in one apartment, or I could find ways in which, taking that as a fact of the matter, choose to come alive. Well, the entire world has had this experience. The entire world has had this experience. We never ever experienced anything like this, ever, that we know, where all of these developments literally had to be shut down for extended periods of time. So you come from a suspenseful state, aroused with excited expectation of what might happen. And the universe simply multiplies that excitement. You're bound to feel exuberant. You're bound to get comfortable with experiencing discomfort and doing it anyway. All of those things, you're bound to get comfortable with the phrase, I don't know. All of these things, what they do is they bring you into a state of unconditional acceptance of what is. And they literally station you, knowing that whatever occurs, you are worth it. You always were, and you always will be. You honor your own worthiness. You become the dignitarian, owning and living your life with dignity, making your choices, and emerging in your own mastery, defining, living out, sharing the experience of the world that you've created. So the 7 secrets hidden in secrets, which is the pearl of wisdom. You begin with succinct. Understand what is your secret sauce and succinctly distill what that is. You then allow yourself to experience the enlightening experience, get greater knowledge and understanding about this particular succinct distillation that you have just discovered. Ground it with real life experiences, and then you move into becoming the conqueror, one who can overcome any adversity. With that understanding and that foundation, you step into a knowing that whatever occurs, the trashiest of experiences, there's still something recyclable there. And that enables you to continually regenerate the enrichment of your life. And that enlivens you. And your life becomes more entertaining, interesting, and appealing to yourself, and you're able to share that with others. And that opens the doorway to quite an enthralling, tantalizing experience, teasing yourself with the sight of a promise of something unobtainable. You start collecting your own ambitious questions. You start recognizing yourself as one who is a contemporary of some of the world's best thinkers. And finally, you can work with suspenseful, enjoying that aroused, excited expectation of what might happen. And that's how secrets becomes a pearl of wisdom that can make this world a world that works for everyone. Begins with you and it ends with you. Over to you, Catherine.
Wow, what a note to end on, Mynoo. I just love that recap. It was absolutely beautiful. This 57th pearl is indeed so empowering. And, you know, this overarching secrets of, I love the art of allowing. I kind of have forgotten about this idea that, you know, we can also ask ourselves, what is mine to do? And this new amazing question of, if I didn't have to do it. I just love that. Would I? So I think we all have a lot of fun play to do with our own lives, this introspection of creating our own secret sauce and unveiling what there is to unveil. You know, and thank you, Mynoo, for trusting our own wisdom, because we often forget that we all have it. So with that, I know we're over time. Amazing. I'm tantalized through and through. And thank you all for joining. We will see you right here next week.